They also talked about this concept of gold cards, gold green cards, of selling a path to citizenship for $5 million. And they did the math, more conservative math from the Commerce Secretary, very aggressive math from the president about how many of these they might sell. The president said maybe we'll sell 1 million of them. And I haven't had time to do this, and maybe somebody down here will raise their hand and tell me this seems like a great idea. And I've not heard any Democrats trash it. Seems like a great idea because, as the president said, we're selling something that no other country can sell. Other countries provide incentives to recruit skilled people, athletes, good business people, engineers. But we're literally the only country in the world that would have the audacity and the capacity. That's my Jesse Jackson imitation. The audacity and the capacity to say, you want to come to the United States, you can be a citizen. We have to pass a background check and give us $5 million. But if 1 million people pay $5 million, as the president said today correctly, that's real money. So that's a very intriguing thing that came up. You mentioned immigration. We could go back and forth on these issues, but I want to cover some other stuff and then get folks in. So Amber, you first. This idea of a gold card, this $5 million entrance fee to get on a path to citizenship, I can't find anything wrong with it. It seems just like it may not work, as the president acknowledged today, but if it works, it could bring a lot of revenue in exchange for bringing very well vetted and very well qualified people into the United States to contribute to our economy and our cultural life in all sorts of ways. Do you see any flaws in this? Anything, assuming the vetting is solid, do you see anything wrong with this idea?
Yeah, I see a couple of problems with it. And I hear the economic argument that this would help potentially pay down the government debt. But I don't think that American citizenship, which is such a prized possession, should be up to the highest bidder. And just because someone has $5 million
Not the,
dollars to
not the
spare,
highest, not the highest bidder, just a high bidder.
very high bidder. And I don't think necessarily that someone having $5 million to burn means that they're going to be necessarily the biggest benefit to our country. And I see this program being abused potentially by wealthy Chinese and Gulf state wealthy people who don't really have an interest in assimilating into American culture, but would rather use this system to be able to gain greater access to the levers of power. We've already seen numerous reports about how the Chinese Communist Party uses wealth tourism through its Chinese citizens, particularly in the American universities, to gain access to sensitive information and send that back to the CCP, stealing American research techniques, state secrets, spying on the American education system, and later on in government. So I have a lot of concerns about that.
Yeah.
This is actually one of the programs that Trump has thrown out there that I do not support.
Okay. Before Eleanor weighs in, Amber, I credit both of those concerns. I guess I cover them just from my own response to under the rubric of the vetting's got to be solid. In other words, we're not letting unworthy people in. We're letting people who otherwise might be able to get in eventually. And again, the vetting, hopefully, we're not letting in anti-American people from China or anywhere else. Eleanor, tell me
Well,
this is a Donald Trump program you love.
no. When President Trump was asked about it and asked if he would welcome Russian oligarchs, he said yes. Like they're
Yeah.
the best people ever. Do we really want Russian oligarchs here? I mean, Russia is an oligarchy. Putin is in touch, enthralled, captured by all of the wealth, and they bought up all of the industries. That's a long story about how that happened in Russia. But is that what we want here? I mean, we have the makings of it, and I know President Biden, everybody likes to beat up on him now that he's out of office. He warned about the oligarchs, and I think that was a statement that he made. That now looks quite prescient. I think it's a very dangerous trend.